So yeah, I had some questions. I don't know if anyone here will be able to answer them or not. So some questions regarding this event, because it was permitted last year. The difference I see in this one is Soma happens to be one of the businesses that is in the downtown that we were worried about impacting by not having alcohol last time. I have a couple concerns. One is the insurance for this event. Is this on the town's insurance, or is the PDA covering the insurance on this from a liability standpoint? Do we know?
That's a good question. Is Reverend Slack here? He's not.
Or is someone responsible for?
I don't have that answer. I did read the email that it stated the application.
The only thing I saw in the application was that it asks the specific question if the governing body has already approved this, and they stated the answer was yes, and it was given by the police that they approved the permit, so that's how the permit went through to the state.
That permit was done electronic.
Right, that's
So it
what I saw.
automatically goes to the chief asking if they have a problem with it, and if they didn't.
And he had no concerns at all?
Yeah.
The only other concern I had, there was some drama last year that wasn't, in my eyes, handled appropriately. I looked at the diagram and the setup, and it looks exactly like it was last year. I think there needs to be a little more safety in place, closed off a little better. To be honest, there was alcohol up at Walters Park. Now, I was there for about 7 hours. There were probably 6 people. So there was no problem up at Walters Park. I don't know what happened in the evening, but I'd feel a little better knowing there was, I'd be okay with it if I knew there was better protection, because people were wandering all over the place with their cups at the last one. And most people know I had to get between 2 people because there was nobody around, because they were outside the fenced-in area. They were wandering around, they were throwing beer on each other, and you know, that doesn't represent the town very well if it's not going to be controlled. I'm personally okay with it as long as it is one of the downtown businesses, but it's got to be better controlled. So I would feel better if there's some controls in place, but there's no one here to tell us that.
Okay.
And I'm assuming this can't wait. Does this have time frame sensitive? Vicki, do you know with the state that we need to adopt it tonight?
It's not till October.
So we could adopt it after we get some questions answered?
And I'm actually waiting for answers on the insurance with the festival, because
Right.
that came up
With
our
someone
insurance
else?
company.
Okay. It's a big concern.
Mhm.
It's a big concern I have. That's all.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilman Davis, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Councilman McVeigh?
Without getting lengthy, I've made the statement before. Blacktop playground, I'm not a fan of having festivals down there near the water and with alcohol being served. I am a fan of folks coming into our town and walking around the streets. I would prefer this up at Chappelle Park or the streets of Phillipsburg on Main Street, closing that down, maybe crossing the Black Bridge, whatever businesses we do have struggling in this town. We'll love to put foot traffic in. I don't think we're very small business friendly here in Phillipsburg, and I would like to change that going forward. Like we've said it from day one. I'm a huge fan of Soma, but I'm also consistent. I was a no before, I'm going to be a no again. If this was in different locations, as echoes Councilman Lutz's, I have a different variation how I think if it's moved off of different locations, but just for this argument, this being said, we have establishments downtown that are very close proximity. If this is where we're going to have it, that can frequent those. Just actually maybe just walk and see what else we have downtown. Again, it's a business plan that I don't agree with, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I myself had an opportunity to meet with, is it Dee? Is Dee?
Carol D.
Carol D.
Fantastic.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic woman. Great business sense, and I believe she has the best of intentions for the future of Phillipsburg in her sights. So, however, I am a staunch advocate against alcohol at public gatherings, especially ones where children will be in attendance. That's my personal feeling. I've relayed that to Reverend Slack. I've also said that the last time that we had voted on something with regard to alcohol. So I don't think it's going to be, it's nothing personal, but it is where it is my stance. So we can roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Table it? What are you talking about, table it? No.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President
I'm
DeGirolamo?
going to abstain.
Councilman McVeigh?
No.
Council President Ballmer?
No. Resolution 2018-163, resolution approved, I'm not going to read it, fails. So we now have old business tabled items from a previous meeting. God bless you. I do see that the discussion for the CP Solar Cohacon Solar Farm is on here for old business. I can absolutely touch on that. As you all know, the CEP solar project has been on our radar for the past 9 months, and we have been contacted by their legal representative, Mark Peck, since Mr. Bellin is no longer representing the company since he had attended our council meeting that evening. The request was made that we permit them a public hearing at the October 16, 2018 council meeting, where they will be present to answer any and all questions from the governing body to the public. Part of the process, it constitutes council providing permission for a 4x8 sign notifying the public of the October 16, 2018 hearing, and this would be placed at the Carpentersville Road, Delaware Heights Park entrance. And there would also be a 4-foot by 4-foot sign at the Riverview entrance. None of these signs will obstruct the line of sight, and by law will be up for 30 days before the hearing and 25 days after the hearing, which comes to September 16, 2018 through November 1st, 2018. So that's the time frame those signs will be up. But that is for the public, so they are aware of what's happening, and they will attend and be able to ask the questions from CEP. I believe, my personal opinion, and after speaking with the mayor and some of the members of council, the project is a win-win for our community and for the environment. I would ask this body to approve the erecting of such signs. Therefore, I'd like to make that motion that we approve. I mean, that would be under our purview?
Well, the scoping hearing is, and the placement of the signs is a requirement of the DEP. So moving forward with that, then, it's municipal property, so the mayor would authorize those signs to be.
Okay.
Right? I don't think there's any issue with the mayor.
There was not an issue with the mayor. And actually, as a matter of fact, the mayor reached out to the DEP to gain the clearance to move forward with the project. So, barring any unforeseen circumstances, we will be seeing those signs, and I will speak with the mayor tomorrow regarding them. So, if anyone sees those signs up, it's because there's no issue. That was what I had for old business that I followed.
Want to say anything about the solar?
Oh, is Mr. Krantz here?
Yes.
Mr. Krantz, did you want to touch base on it?
Well, I could just say that I've been updated on some information regarding that project, and Mark Bellin had contacted me. I had been in touch with Mark Peck, and Mark Bellin had contacted me, I think it was last Friday, or Friday before last, or Thursday, and asked if I'd be interested. I said, yes, I would. I'll have to speak to my attorney. And unfortunately, Bill Edelston had a busy week this week. He went on vacation. He will not be back in town until the 11th. So that's the attorney that I would utilize.
Excellent. So because you have an attorney, I won't ask you how you personally feel about the,
Well, and then they sent the, Mark said he sent the information on to the, because I sent him the deed and
okay.
all the, I said, call Warren County, I had good soil analysis done, that they were good, 10 foot, no bedrock, so as far as underground would be okay. And he said he sent it to engineering, and I hadn't heard back from him since I let him know I wouldn't be able to address the matter until Joe Edelstein come back in town.
Will you be available for the scoping hearing on October 16th?
Yes, it will.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Previously tabled ordinances, which will remain tabled. I actually, Councilman Davis, should we untable this ordinance to discuss it publicly?
The
Open space?
no, we were discussing at the work session. So that's any.
Okay, okay. Okay, so ordinance 2018-14 will remain tabled until the work session. Same with ordinance 2018-13 remains tabled until September 11th, 2018. At the last meeting, we had tabled resolutions 2018-152. I asked that it remain tabled as we still have yet to receive an up-to-date lease agreement. So therefore, it's impossible, it would be impossible for me to vote on such without seeing that. And the same would hold true for resolution 2018-157. I still have yet to receive the copy of the contract that we had requested. Did you send that? You did? Is it in here?
It is?
Yeah. I see on the notebook.
It's been a rough week. The rest of the council was able to review the contract? Enough to vote? Okay. I'll motion to untable resolution 2018-157.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGrova?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Booker?
Yes. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGrova?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Booker?
I will abstain because admittedly I did not read it, therefore I cannot make an educated decision. So I apologize. Resolution 2018-157 passes. I'm not apologizing for it passing, I'm apologizing for not reading it if you have. Moving forward, we have new business, and Councilman Lutz, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Council Vice President?
Just a couple things. We were at the UEZ meeting last week. We had a discussion about the Arts building. It was stated that the roof is leaking, there's water all over the floor, and it's to the point they cannot even take anyone in it and show it. So I'm asking if we could have inspections go out and see if it's worthy of doing have it hearing.
I believe the mayor is on the same page. He had actually at the...
He wasn't there, so I didn't know if they...
At the CARES walk over the weekend,
Okay.
he had stated that he had the same concerns. So I do believe that that would not be a problem. So we can go ahead and draft that out.
Okay. I did get an upcoming event it's for the Friends of the Phillipsburg Free Public Library. If anyone is interested, it is on September 25th, 4 to 8 p.m. at Soma. There's a flyer up here if anyone is interested. And other new business, last week we attended the ICE overview in Powhatan. It was open to all elected officials as well as police officers. Myself was there, Council President was there, as well as Captain Segman.
Actually, yeah, Captain.
Did I get that right? Okay. Captain Segman was there.
Captain.
He's a captain. But I did bring copies for the mayor and the police chief. Vicki, if you could see they get those. So it was an eye-opening presentation, to say the least. But it was a good event. If anybody had any questions, it was well over an hour. There's a lot of good Q&A about the state of New Jersey and their stance on immigration. So, that's it.
Great. Councilman Davis.
No new business tonight. Actually, just a report from the subcommittee. It's okay, Council Vice President.
Yes.
We've been meeting on that, and I think we're making good progress. We're not ready to report back with recommendations, but we've been discussing. So.
Great. Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman McVeigh.
I have one thing. If this was something that you want to discuss, Council President, I'll introduce it and then I'll turn it over to you.
Sure.
But the Wilson Borough has just put out a moratorium possible moratorium on new rental properties. In conjunction with the ordinance we tabled for the work session on rentals, this is what we have going in. This is the direction we wanted to go in. I know the newest council members mentioned from the start about making the landlords accountable. Some folks don't like the landlord word, but I'm just going to call it like it is. We're really in trouble. Last week I sat with the Moores on their front porch after I left Mr. Miner's house of the very, if you remember, I had to leave a little early to meet the Moores. And the stench coming from 32 Heckman was unbearable. The stench coming from the Moores cellar was disgusting. I will remind people, and I'm on record, that I was a 12-year-old boy in that house. I spent time in there, so it means a little bit to me. I will offer to work with Union City, as my job is in close proximity with that, to look into what they did on the first half of this. I will also offer to work with Wilson, just to see. I'm not making a motion here, I'm just bringing this up under new business, that this is, I'm going to stay aggressive on this for all of Phillipsburg. And if, you know, with council's permission or whatever, I'll move forward and just ascertaining just some general information on what they're doing and what the thought process is behind it, because I'm not going to take it anymore.
Love it. I don't even need to bang it, they're done. Councilman McVeigh, to echo you, I'll pick up right where you had left off. I did read that, as a matter of fact, it was sent to me by about 7 or 8 residents the morning that it hit the newspaper. I had read it and I had reached out to Attorney Leonard to discuss the legality of what the town can do to place a moratorium on rentals. I also spoke with Clerk Kleiner, and I do remember that back during the early Wine administration, they had placed a moratorium. I believe it was when Councilman Stetner was up here, and so I'm not sure that moratorium was ever lifted, but I would certainly be willing to reinforce it or motion to enact another moratorium, as long as the attorney tells me that we're not going to be sued.
We're still doing the research on that.
You still are?
Yes.
Okay. And I do think it's important that we place a moratorium on these rentals, because people are coming from all over after watching the midnight infomercials on real estate investment, and they are buying property in Phillipsburg just to make a dime. Earlier this week, I had spoken with Mayor Ellis with regard to a complaint that had come in regarding 21 Hanover Street. What happened was, you know, I can pull up my phone, I have a picture for council to see. I'll be more than happy to show it to the rest of you as well.
Council President, while you're looking at that, let me just circle back.
Sure.
And it's a good airtime photo, really.
I have the picture, but go ahead.
The property adjacent, the property that's been in discussion for quite a number of weeks here, now has plastic bags covering every single window, so
Yeah.
nobody can look in. It's hard.
Right.
It's very, very hard.
So the resident had called me, and this was 21 Hanover. The resident had called me and was upset because his vehicle was covered with a tarp. His wife had called him and said that the absentee landlord in question had covered his vehicle with a tarp and then placed a board against the vehicle, and they were throwing slate off the roof. So he sent me pictures. So I had reached out to that landlord in question, told me to go to hell. Not the first time, married man with 4 kids, it happens all the time. That's the kind of stuff that we're trying to stop. So the absentee landlord then proceeded to make a complaint with the inspections department, and the inspections department has to come out and respond to every complaint they receive. And in this case, they did, and they cited the property owner who had made the initial complaint against this landlord. So I did speak with the inspections department today, and I had explained it to them what had happened, and they didn't cite them. What they gave them was 30 days. There were toys in the yard and certain things. Right. So I will say this: it seems like we're not making headway, but we need to, which is why we need to remain vigilant. You know, there is a lot more going on than meets the eye, especially with this gentleman in particular. And I do believe that a moratorium is required. I'd also like to find out whether or not he had paid the landlord registration fee, and I'll reach out to the clerk tomorrow morning to investigate that.
Can I ask a question,
Mr. Rooney,
I get this question.
oh, I have no problem with you asking a question. Do you want to do it during your open time, or is it about what I had just stated?
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, talking on the subject.
Yes, sir.
Where is the health department?
So the health department, we don't have a health officer here in the town of Phillipsburg.
No, but there's a county health department.
Yes, sir.
And they can be called in.
And I do, and I call
And
them.
expect these
Council
problems.
President.
Yes, sir.
Are they being
We have,
called in?
yeah, this
That's-
slide holds evenly, can't do these.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, Mr. Rooney?
Yes.
Councilman Davis is correct. Can we wait until the public comment section? I would like to address that comment.
It'd be a lot better doing that. That's okay.
I understand. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're correct, Councilman Davis. I apologize, and Joe, I apologize to you because I failed in the past for that.
To be fair to everyone, Council President.
He's absolutely correct. My apologies.
Praise you.
So, I've also asked Attorney Wenner to draft a letter to Aqua to appear before the next council meeting. You know what, I'll say that part for open time, and go back to, there's a few things. We had a request for school bus stop signs, the school bus stop ahead signs. Apparently the children down on Main Street, when you come under the underpass from where the Agway building is, they're coming around the corner, there's trucks, there's cars, they're speeding around that corner, and there's children right there in the blind spot where the bus stop is. So I don't know, maybe we should reach out to Stan and see if we can get those signs. There's a bus stop ahead.
The mayor's office.
There's the mayor's office with it, okay. I'd also like to go through the mayor's office and inquire as to where the autistic child at play sign is for Logan and Lindale. And I did make that request back on January 1. I don't know, the last I heard was that it was in DPW's garage. So if it is, we can get it up, but the resident did ask.
What was that, Logan and Lindale?
Logan and Lindale, right on the corner. Yeah. I'd like to get that up as soon as possible. Those folks have been waiting for 9 months.
Priorities. Is that in South Main or North Main?
That is South Main. Right past the ice house that Mr. Faley speaks about often, and the Agway building. All right, that's all I have for new business. So we can now move forward to the mayor and his administrative report, which Councilman Davis, you have?
Yeah, the mayor sends his regrets, and I won't read the whole thing. He has a list of requests and updates, but I'll send this over to Vicki, and she'll include this in the minutes as an update. I'm sure he'd be glad to email a copy out if the council's interested.
Is this all?
It's just those 3 pages, yeah.
Yeah, Vicki, you'll send this to us?
Sure.
Did you want to speak for him, or?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
What can we hear?
It's going in the minutes.
No, it will be in the minutes. It is,
For minutes?
I'll also leave a copy up here if you give me two, if you want to read it.
yeah, I don't disagree.
It's 3 pages. I don't want to sit up here and read 3 pages of notes.
Listen, I don't want to, just so everyone's aware, listen, the mayor's not in attendance tonight, okay? So the one thing I do want to ask is for everyone to remain respectful, not to personally attack him, not to personally attack his family, nor the fact that he couldn't be here this evening. I'm sure he will be here at the very next meeting where we can address him, but I do believe that we can place this in the minutes and Councilman Davis will have a copy for you. So we can then move forward to the petitions where the public can now speak. Mr. Rooney, if you'd like to come up. Thank you, Mr. Rooney.
For those of you who do not know who I am, I'm Bernie Rooney. I live at 245 Morris Street in Phillipsburg. I'm on the planning board and I serve other committees in the town, so I've been active in town since 1984. It's a crazy role. You can't talk, discussing certain things, but why can't you bring in the health department and expect these buildings?
So we can, as I was, Chris McCormick gets used to my phone number because I do have a list. I call him just about every day. And they do come in and they do draft cases, and in some there are findings and in some there aren't, right? So they do come in when we do call them and they do open up cases.
You have to keep on top of this, really.
I agree wholeheartedly.
You know, it's detrimental to the whole town. I have issues in my neighborhood. I'm not going to go into it, but
If you contact me via email, or you call me.
for instance, the house next door to me, they had no power. It's a woman, two young girls. She was caught stealing electricity, so they took off her power. They haven't had power in 6 months or more. I don't know. No, it's ridiculous. 2 little children living in a house with no electricity.
That's what
It's totally ridiculous.
Folks, I understand, I feel the same way you do. Mr. Rooney, do you have the address? Or if you don't feel comfortable giving it to me here, you can give
I don't
it.
know, it's address before my property, I'm 245, I don't know. I think it's 239 or something like that.
So if I'm in front of your property, is it to my right or my
Right to
left?
my left, right across from Bob, all the body.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney.
All the house, so it's
I will find that.
totally there.
Thank you, sir.
I had other issues. I was here in May.
Yes.
I was going on vacation in June. I asked about a redevelopment plan.
Yes, sir, you did.
Where was the status? When was it going to be approved? What happened?
And I did tell you that it would be approved before you got back from vacation.
Yes, you did.
And so, in the meantime, there was a series of exchanges, email exchanges, that I became privy to that involved eminent domain. And I didn't feel that it was appropriate, so I had a conference call with the parties involved. And they had told me they had wanted eminent domain, and they were working hard to put it back into the plan. So there was a little bit of a standoff at that point in time. Since that happened, there were 2 other issues that were brought up in executive session. I can't give you the content, but what I can do is give you a general overview. The water treatment plant, the septic plant, is near capacity, which is why we do have the sewer utility subcommittee, and certain rules restrict us from expanding the sewer treatment plant. And I'm not sure if you were familiar with that or not. They have
No, it was not.
So whoever designed the sewer treatment plant did not think of Phillipsburg growing, because we cannot expand on either side. nor can we expand north or south because we are bound by certain guidelines. We got to say a certain footage outside of the street, certain footage away from fresh water. So we can't build, and we're at near capacity now. So we have two proposed developments, one from the Township of Lopakon, and then we have our riverfront redevelopment plan. With the current issues with our general infrastructure now, we are investigating, because the opportunity zone doesn't cover the infrastructure. It doesn't provide money to bolster the infrastructure. This is my concern. So I had asked the Remington and Vernon, I had asked if they were ever brought in during the planning stages, and they had said no. So what we did, and they are still looking at the plan currently, and I did have a question for them. We have yet to reach a final determination. But what I can say is, on top of that, we're now experiencing an issue with our water in town, which is also another issue. And if we start building and adding more to our current infrastructure, and I can't tell you, and I will in open time, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on with Aqua. My personal feeling is we're in limbo. And if we do add to this, I don't want to be known for the councilman that ruined the entire infrastructure of Phillipsburg and made people sick, right? So those are my only concerns. Now, I also am, I'm a huge fan of the redevelopment plan. I've actually agreed with Councilman Davis, since he's on the Sewer Utility Committee, and I'm sure that he'll have those answers for me at the next council meeting, that we will be placing the riverfront redevelopment plan up for discussion at the next council meeting. It will be on the agenda. He had approached me prior to, but I do have some general concerns, and those are the concerns.
They're legitimate concerns. However, the plan needs to be adopted. And you can worry about the development part, and impact on the infrastructure, the utilities. That's fine. But please, approve the plan. Then we go on. Maybe you can get some developers come here, maybe you can get them to contribute to it.
That would be
I mean, you can't do
wonderful.
anything until the plan's approved. We
Well-
can't get any money till the plan's approved.
We do have an approved general redevelopment plan, yes?
No.
From 2013.
Yeah, but that's been amended. That's,
Right.
it's on there. But it has, the amended plan has to be out.
No, I don't disagree, but I don't believe that that's holding us back from drawing in investors at the time being. And the opportunity, there are a lot of myths, because the opportunity zone designation for the town of Phillipsburg is till 2026. And there is the grant money, I don't know where we have heard of grant money, they're actually investment funds. So you're familiar with how the opportunity zone works?
Grant was wrong.
Okay.
But there's funds available.
They're
Supposed to
absolutely,
be. I mean, they may draw in.
the funds come from the
State
investors,
but, you know,
right?
right now.
The funds come from the investors, so,
Yes,
what I,
They get the capital gains incentive. but
Correct.
that's
exactly,
Years later.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
It's not enough from
But,
cash through the
you know,
business.
as long
I mean,
as,
it's really important. Take a short.
It's incentive to stay.